Why you feel lost after achieving your goals. The success void. Have you ever wanted something for years? A promotion, a degree, a dream job, a fitness goal, a business milestone. And then one day, you finally get it. For a moment, it feels amazing. But then, something strange happens. Instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel empty. You wake up the next morning expecting your life to feel different, more complete, more meaningful. But it doesn't. In fact, some people feel worse after achieving a major goal than they did before. And that experience can be terrifying. Because if achieving the thing you've been chasing for years doesn't make you happy, then what will? Most people assume this feeling means they chose the wrong goal. But psychology suggests something much more interesting. The emptiness isn't a sign of failure. It's a predictable consequence of how the human brain creates meaning. And once you understand it, you'll stop seeing this feeling as a problem and start seeing it as a transition. Let's talk about what psychologists sometimes call the success void, the strange emotional space that appears after achievement, and why almost nobody talks about it.
The first reason this happens is simple. Goals give us direction. But direction and meaning are not the same thing. When you're pursuing something important, your brain is constantly occupied. There is a clear target, a clear next step, a clear reason to wake up tomorrow. Your mind becomes organized around movement. Everything points toward the future. If I keep going, I'll get there. But the moment you arrive, the future disappears. Suddenly, there is no mountain to climb, no next milestone, no countdown, no chase. And that's when many people discover something uncomfortable. They weren't addicted to the goal. They were addicted to pursuing the goal. Research consistently shows that anticipation often activates the brain's reward system more strongly than possession. In other words, the excitement of getting something can be greater than actually having it. Your brain loves the hunt, the uncertainty, the possibility, the progress. Once the reward becomes normal, the stimulation fades. And what remains is silence. That's the first layer of the success void. Not sadness, not failure, just the absence of momentum.
The second reason is even deeper. Many people unknowingly build their identity around future success. Think about it. How often do people tell themselves, I'll be confident when? I'll be happy when? I'll finally matter when? The goal becomes more than a goal. It becomes a promise that life will finally make sense. The problem is that no achievement can carry that weight. A promotion can change your title. It cannot permanently change your relationship with yourself. Money can solve financial problems. It cannot answer existential questions. Recognition can make people admire you. It cannot make you admire yourself. When people achieve a goal and still feel insecure, anxious, or uncertain, they often experience a form of psychological shock because the fantasy breaks. The future version of themselves they imagined never arrives. They are still themselves, just with a new accomplishment. And that's when a difficult realization emerges. The goal was never the destination. It was only a vehicle.
The third reason is something psychologists call hedonic adaptation. But the concept is surprisingly simple. Humans adapt to almost everything, good and bad. Imagine getting the exact thing you've wanted for years. At first, it's extraordinary. A week later, it's familiar. A month later, it's normal. A year later, it's part of the background. This isn't because you're ungrateful. It's because your brain is designed to normalize your environment. If it didn't, you would never stop reacting to every positive event. Your nervous system constantly resets its expectations. That's why achievements often fail to create lasting happiness. Not because they aren't valuable, but because they become your new baseline. The extraordinary becomes ordinary. And then the mind starts searching for the next thing, the next target, the next mountain, the next promise, which creates an endless cycle. Achievement, adaptation, emptiness, repeat.
But there's one final reason people experience the success void, and it's probably the most important. Many goals provide structure, but very few provide meaning. Structure answers the question, what should I do today? Meaning answers the question, why does any of this matter? These are not the same thing. A person can have a perfectly organized life and still feel lost. Because achievement and meaning operate on different psychological levels. Meaning usually comes from things goals cannot fully provide. Connection, contribution, growth, relationships, purpose, belonging, experiences. When people spend years optimizing for achievement alone, they often neglect these deeper foundations. Then, when the goal is finally achieved, the distraction disappears, and the deeper questions become impossible to ignore. Who am I now? What do I actually want? What kind of life am I trying to build? These questions can feel uncomfortable, but they are not signs that something has gone wrong. They are signs that you're entering a new phase.
So what should you do when the success void appears? Don't panic. Don't immediately set a bigger goal. And don't assume you've ruined your life. Instead, recognize what's happening. Your brain is adjusting. Your identity is reorganizing. Your old source of direction has ended, and a new one hasn't formed yet. That's normal. In fact, it may be one of the healthiest moments in your life, because for the first time, you're no longer running towards something. You're free to ask whether it was truly what you wanted in the first place. And that question can lead somewhere far more meaningful than achievement ever could. The biggest myth about success is that it ends the search. It doesn't. Success often begins a new one. The feeling of emptiness after achievement isn't proof that you failed. It's proof that you've outgrown a chapter of your life. The goal gave you direction. Now you need something deeper. Because eventually, every mountain becomes ground beneath your feet. And when that happens, the real question is no longer, what am I trying to achieve? It's, who am I becoming?